Welcome to the battle report of the Void Dancers versus the Tanith Scions. Today we'll be playing the mission Seize Ground from the core rulebook. Players must seize as many of the 6 objectives as they can. To secure an objective, you must end your turn within 2 of that objective. You continue to score points as long as your opponent doesn't seize the ground. Players score 1 point for holding 2 or more objectives. 1 point if you control more than your enemy, 1 point if you hold any objective in your opponent's kill zone, and 1 point if you hold 2 or more objectives in your opponent's kill zone. Tanith won the roll-off and selected to be the attacker. The Tanith have chosen to take Challenge, Execution and Deadly Marksman. The Void Dancers, Implant, Capture and Infiltrate and Mythic Play. The Void Dancers are led by a player leader with a power weapon and a pistol. A Shadow Seer joins him with a Mist Stave and a pistol, and a Death Jester with a Support Grip Shrieker Cannon and a Shrieker Blade complete the trio. There is a player with a Super Tensile Kiss and a pistol, one with a blade and a pistol, one with a blade and a Neuro Disruptor, and 2 with a blade, pistol and prismatic grenade. The first squad of the Tanith are led by a Tempesta with power weapon and plasma pistol, a comms operator with a blade and a las gun, a gunner with a grenade launcher, a gunner with a volley gun, and a trooper with a las gun and a medkit. The second supporting squad for the Tanith is made up of a gunner with a melter gun, a gunner with a blade and a plasma gun, and 3 troopers, each with blades and las guns. The first activation happens for the Tanith, and the Tempesta starts his move up towards Objective 6 to secure it at the end of the first turning point. Taking advantage of the close deployment of his now exposed squad, the Death Jester spends 2 AP to use his Shrieker Harvest, giving his weapon the Torrent special rule instead, opening fire onto the squad that the Tempesta has just left, with the first shooting attack against the Medikit Trooper scoring 5 hits and 2 saves made, mean 12 wounds go through, killing the Trooper outright before he's had a chance to help any of his friends. The second attack is against the Gunner with the Volley Gun. 1 hit and no saves mean the crit goes through, dealing 5 damage, badly wounding the Trooper. The final attack is against the comms operator. 2 hits but 2 saves mean no wounds go through. This is a real blow that will hurt later in the turn. The Death Jester, having killed 1 with 2 attack dice or more, the performance tally goes up to 2. For the last action, the Death Jester drops down from up high, having lost his domino field. The Tanith, undeterred by the Jester's shooting, push forwards, securing Objective 5 with a standard trooper. The Void Dancers respond with the Fusion Pistol player moving up towards Objective 1. Another trooper for Tanith quickly moves up to seize Objective 4. The Neuro Disruptor player moves up to secure Objective 3. The second trooper moves up to Objective 4 to back up his friend, staying just far enough away from him to protect each other from the Jester and his shooting. The player leader makes a bold move here, pushing up towards the centre Objective 2. Aiming to secure it, hugging the building closely. The comms operator moves across towards the Melter Gunner to give him a bonus action. The Shadow Seer, being the last range threat on the board, senses weakness in the back lines and moves forward to get vision. He casts Mirror of Minds on the wounded gunner. With 3 pairs between the dice, 3 mortal wounds go through, just enough to finish off the gunner. Seeing his brother felled from across the field and the comms guy backing him up, the Melter Gunner flips his order to engage and charges forward towards the player leader, hoping to cut off the head. He brings the Melter Gun upwards, with 2 hits and 2 saves. The gamble hasn't paid off, the leader is fine. On the left flank, the player gunner moves up, ready to charge onto objective 4. Wanting to gain a better vantage point, the grenadier jumps up high to rain death onto those that stray out into the open. The grenade player on the right flank moves up towards objective 3 as well, looking to secure it, aiming to charge onto objective 6 next turn. Following suit of the grenadier, the plasma gunner jumps up high onto the shipping container to flank anyone on the opposite side of the map. With no one else left to activate for the Tanith and no Overwatch available to them, they can do little but watch helplessly as the last player moves up to the window and aims his pistol at the Melter Gunner. With 3 hits and 1 save, 6 wounds go through, nearly killing him outright there. At the end of the turning point, the Tanith hold objectives 4, 5 and 6, scoring them 1 victory point for holding 1 or more. The Void Dancers hold objectives 1, 2 and 3, also scoring them 1 victory point. The performance tally for the Void Dancers stands at 2 and no progress has yet been made on any of the TAC ops. With the initiative roll-off going the way of the Tanith, they gain 1 CP and spend it right away on take aim, letting them re-roll 1s to hit before passing. The Void Dancers gain 1 CP as well, activating Domino Field and Cheograph's Jest, trying to force the parries in the next melee. The leader changes the performance to be an epic, aiming for even more buffs in the melee combat. At the start of Turning Point 2, the Melter Gunner moves up on top of a building and unleashes a torrent of Melter down towards the Void Dancer's leader. Scoring 4 hits and only 2 saves mean 12 wounds go through, finally killing the leader and adding 1 to the victory points from the challenge TAC op. With the leader dead, the Kiss Dancer is able to charge onto objective 6, right onto the Tempesta. The Dancer strikes and parries the Tempesta, and all he can do in return is manage a single strike. Rather than finishing the Tempesta there and then, he chooses to implant him, scoring 1 victory point. Tempesta then decides to strike back on his activation. Scoring at least one hit, dealing at least 4 damage, he manages to finish off the Dancer. Before falling back towards Objective 5 and his team and perceived safety. The Fusion Dancer decides to make his charge up onto Objective 4, hoping to tie up each of them in combat, hedging his bets that he can at least kill one outright before taking too much damage. The Dancer chooses to strike then parry, while the Tanith can only manage to strike back once in return. With the threat neutralised before running him through, he chooses to implant him, working on the second part of the objective. Having killed with only 2 strikes, he scores 1 on the performance tally, bringing him up to 3. The Tanith comms operator starts to move forward from being stuck in the back, all the way up towards Objective 5. Unable to shoot anyone, he just secures the objective. The Death Jester jumps up high and opens fire onto the Plasma Gunner, aiming to reduce the threat from across the map. With some disgusting shooting and some disgusting saves, all but 2 of the hits are saved, killing the gunner in a hail of bullets. This does, however, lower the domino field. With the domino field lowered, the Grenadier launches a crack grenade from across the map. Only 2 hits, but all the saves made, no damage goes through. He's lucky he survived that one. The Shadowseer, seeing a weakened Tanith, casts Mirror of Minds onto him. With 5 mortal wounds going through, the Melter Gunner is finished off. A brave Tanith trooper pushes forwards up to Objective 2, holding it and opening fire onto the Death Jester. Scoring at least 2 hits, 1 crit goes through, dealing 4 damage to the Death Jester, finally starting to chip away at his health. The grenade player moves up and charges the last operative on Objective 4. Parrying the crit, and with the jest succeeding, no damage is dealt to him. 1 implant and 2 strikes later, the left flank of the Tanith has been eliminated. With this action, the performance tally is now at 4, and 2 more victory points are scored, 1 for mythic play and 1 for implant. In Overwatch now, the trooper on the bottom fires up onto the Death Jester. 3 hits and only 2 saves mean the crit goes through, 5 damage, killing the Jester and ending his reign of terror. With the last Overwatch used, the Dancer Grenadier on the right moves up onto Objective 6, securing it at the end of the turning points. The Nero Disruptor player then charges onto the leader. With scoring at least one hit, he runs him through, killing the Tempesta and adding 1 to the performance tally again. With his last remaining action, he takes a pot shot against the comms man, failing to injure him. At the end of the turning point, the Tanith hold objectives 2 and 5, scoring 1 for holding 2 and scoring 1 for holding 1 on the enemy side of the board. They managed to score 1 for attack op challenge, bringing their total to 4. The Void Dancers score 1 for holding 2, 1 for holding more than the enemy, 1 for holding 1 in the enemy, and 1 for holding 2 in the enemy. They also score 2 for implant and 1 for mythic play, bringing their total up to 8. The performance tally currently stands at 5. The Tanith win the initiative roll off again and gain 1 CP. They choose to spend this on Take Aim. The Void Dancers gain 2 for completing their performance and choose to play Domino Field and Jest again. Tanith Grenadier opens up the turn by shooting against the Void Dancer out in the open. Scoring 4 hits and only 1 save, the Dancer explodes in a shower of crack. He scores 1 victory point for Marksman. After finishing the job, the Tanith moves across out of charge range of the rest of the Dancers. The Shadowseer switches to engage and charges out from the back lines to capture the Tanith left out alone and far from his brother's support. With 2 hits scored, he plays Murderous Entrance, allowing him to strike twice before the enemy has a chance to hit him back, killing the operative. He adds 1 to the performance tally. He also reveals Capture and Infiltrate, removing the Shadowseer from the map and scoring 2 victory points. The comms guy moves back to the back of the board, opening up line of sight to the Grenader on the left side. Scoring all his hits and with no saves made, the Void Dancer falls to the firepower of the comms operator. The Grenader on the right side now moves up, setting up to charge onto the enemy next turn. The comms guy again opens fire, this time with Overwatch, scoring 3 hits and 1 save, 6 damage goes through, just enough for him to kill the Void Dancer. The Tanith really rallying towards the end of the game here, dealing out some serious damage. At the end of the turning point, Tanith hold objectives 2 and 5, scoring them 2 victory points again. The Void Dancers, however, hold the rest, meaning they score 4 again. The Tanith have also scored 1 point for Deadly Marksman. The Void Dancers have scored 1 point for Mythic Play and 2 points for Capture and Infiltrate. The Tanith now stand on 7 points, however the Void Dancers accelerate their lead into 15 points. Tanith win the initiative again and gain 1 CP. The Dancers gain 2. Choosing to spend 1 on Domino. At the start of turning point 4, the comms operator moves across, giving an action to the Grenadier. The last Dancer charges the comms operator, looking to end his meddling. Spending 1 CP for Murderous Entrance, he kills the comms operator with a flurry of blows, before tossing his grenade at the last guy. With 3 hits and 3 saves, not enough damage to block the crit, 4 damage goes through, reducing his APL back down to standard. In a final defiant action, the Grenadier, having seen his comms guy fall, pulls his launcher up and takes aim. He fires, but with 3 hits and 3 saves, no damage goes through. The Void Dancer is still alive, and with that, the skirmish is over. As the skirmish comes to an end, the Tanith hold objectives 2 and 5 still, scoring them 2 victory points. The Void Dancers, however, hold the rest, meaning they score 4. This brings the Void Dancers total to 19, and the Tanith up to 9. Sealing this as a victory for the Void Dancers and their performance. I want to say a big thank you to the local community we have here for letting me film this. Hopefully this will be the first of many. Watching this back, I already see things I would change and improve for the next time. Let me know what you think of the battle, let me know what you think of the style, and what you'd like to see from us in the future. I just want to say a big thank you at the end to all those of you who have joined us for this battle report.